Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back from Times Square. It's That Kevin Show. She was my very first guest when we relaunched this show as That Kevin Show. Mr. Whatley and Ms. Trump, when they took over the party, had a real uphill battle in terms of personnel internally and also philosophy. Their predecessors did not want to push the voter integrity issue very hard. And Laura came in and really made that the defining point of her leadership with the RNC. She said, we are going to have accountable votes. And she staffed up lawyers and she got poll watchers. And it was a record grassroots effort to have a clean election this time. And I thought it was interesting that the only states that Kamala Harris actually won were ones where voter ID is not required. Are we going to see some movement on that front, do you think, nationally, or at least in the 19 states that Kamala won?
No, I actually do. If you look at the stats, right, if you look at the public opinion, people do want voter ID. It's such a basic.
It's a bipartisan thing. It's eight out of 10.
And it's so basic, right? If you ask the average person, they tell you, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can't go take a test, for school without bringing in my ID. I actually remember when I got into the University of Pennsylvania, I was so excited to get my little ID card because I finally looked good in the picture. And I remember when they gave it to me, they said, you can go with this on the bus, you can go do this, do that, and you can vote with it. And I thought, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And then I went that night and I looked up these laws and I realized you don't need ID. Not only do you not need ID, you can actually use school identification like this, which countless people in my class obviously had who were not American. So I was terrified that night. And that's kind of what I was thinking about. I remember going back to thinking about that night when I took this job and when I heard that Chairman Whatley and obviously our co-chair Lara Trump were taking over. I want to give them full credit. A lot of people like to ask for credit. Both of them are not those people. They don't take the credit that they deserve. And I want people to understand how much effort they put into this job and how much it meant to both of them, right? They weren't just taking it on for themselves. They weren't taking it on for Donald Trump. They were taking it on and taking on the responsibilities of the job that they chose to take on because that's what the American people asked for. They genuinely looked inside themselves every single day to make sure they were doing exactly what the voters wanted. They felt as though they were serving not the Republican Party, not the establishment, but the American people. And it was an honor to work with both of them.
Well, I want to make this very clear. People say, does party leadership make a difference? When you consider the kind of being caught by surprise aspect of the 2020 election, and I remember Eric Trump being on my show 3 days before the 2020 election in November, and I asked him, hearkening back to the hanging chads of the Bush era, I said, Eric, are you ready for what's potentially being thought of as going to be a big fraud effort with the COVID protocols and all the special rules that the states made, which mostly have been turned unconstitutional by the judges now, by courts. And I remember him kind of feeling a little nervous at my question because I don't think he expected it. And of course, afterwards was too late for us to really be able to change and challenge vote counts once they'd been certified. It was just too big of a monster to try to bring down. So starting early, Laura and Mr. Whatley getting involved and being resilient, but it really did matter. I don't know the final number, maybe you do, but I had heard that there were over 200 litigations in early vote and on election day that the kind of swamp the vote effort from the RNC addressed, had judges weigh in on, got decisions, and actually forced districts to do what was right.
Yeah, look, I want people to understand they did this for the American people. I remember when Lara Trump said she wanted hundreds of thousands of volunteers, people actually laughed at her thinking that wasn't going to happen. And we actually did end up.
Republicans laughed at her.
Yeah, exactly.
I had Republican friends like, yeah, that's never going to happen. And she did
it's
it.
Exactly what happened. She did it. And it's not because she set out for this goal for herself. It's because she knew, because she actually liked President Trump, by the way, who doesn't get enough credit for this either. She listens to the American people. There's a reason they win in the way that they do. It's because they don't just do it for the job or for the role or for the accolades that come after in case you win. They just want the American people to get what they are asking for. They actually take the job seriously because they know that they were put there for a reason. I watched Lara Trump say that. I watched the response and I watched how proud she was when it happened, not because she was proven right, but because the American people were finally getting what they asked for. And they were proven right, that hundreds of thousands of people were willing to go out, be poll workers, be the poll watchers, stand up for the integrity of our elections and for this country that they love so much. And I watched everything matter to her in a way that I'd never seen it matter to someone before that. That goes for her and Chairman Whatley. And it was exciting for me to see that. I think it was exciting for people as well who were hesitant but curious about voting Republican for the first time, maybe, to listen to both of their words, hopefully mine as well, maybe in the media, but to watch people that were genuinely excited to take on this job and represent not the Republican Party, not even Republicans, but any Americans that were curious or interested in possibly voting Republican for the first time. It meant so much to them. And I think that's why it worked.
Yeah, no, and there's no doubt about it. Well, Elizabeth, thank you for always being available and for chatting with us and giving us your thoughts and insights on all of it.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next. That Kevin Show.